Thank you for spending the time and this moment where we can kind of reflect on your journey in autonomy. And it's always exciting to get to the graduation interview. This is where, I think we get to kind of feel your journey on what you've gone through, and love to find out your experience. So, just out of curiosity, a little bit, can you tell me a little bit more about who you are a little bit, and what are the things that keep you ticking?
Well, thank you for taking the time to interview me, Mark. This is really fantastic. What keeps me ticking? I have a whole bunch of different interests, and this is reflected in the fact that I've got 3 degrees, one in religious studies, one in computer science, and another in business. And that's just a small smattering of things I love to dig into, but mostly I like working with and being with people. And so autonomy was a good opportunity to be with people.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's a great place to find like-minded people. I found that definitely helps. No, so that's community.
Great.
So before you kind of started with autonomy, did you have any like major things that kind of felt you struggled with in keeping you moving and progressing?
Hmm. Yeah, before joining autonomy, I really felt that the biggest obstacle blocking my progress was the lack of feedback from other people. I had at that point been working about 2 years on my own without feedback and felt that I had kind of lost my way and wasn't growing the way I should be. Once I was in autonomy, I found that the exercise and mastermind sessions were really useful for meeting people and getting other people's thoughts about my work. And as a result of those interactions, my ideas gained a clearer focus and the output of my work improved significantly.
Where's the during your experience now with being in autonomy and completing it, what inspired you to leave your comfort zone, by enrolling to autonomy?
Yeah. Uh, Getting inspired to leave my comfort zone turns out to be pretty easy. I regularly remind myself that all growth happens outside of my comfort zone. And so when I can see that the growth I want and know that the effort will produce excellent returns, pushing becomes simple because I've practiced it. And because it's practiced, it's automatic. And pushing beyond my boundaries for autonomy was pretty obviously going to produce excellent results. So, yeah, it was
Hmm.
pretty easy.
Yeah, it is. It's getting out of the comfort zone is where it all happens. Yeah, yeah. But also at the same time, the comfort zone can expand into that place where it grows. So it's
Exactly.
about yeah, malleable comfort zone. And okay, uh, how did you take that inspiration that you found and put it into action?
Yeah, I guess I came into autonomy already inspired to be an entrepreneur. I was hoping that autonomy would give me a better plan for shaping that inspiration into practical outcomes. And what I was not really expecting was how effectively the exercises would be in helping in helping me navigate the corridor principle. That idea where each new relationship and exercise you participate in reveals new opportunities that you can't see previously. Because of the growth that I experienced in autonomy, my goal is now to double down on becoming the kind of person who can wrangle opportunities from thoughts into reality.
That's well said. Excellent. Yeah, no, it is. It's definitely a visionary. If you kind of become more attuned to the small details that you weren't able to see before. So for sure, opening up new opportunities, and with that, like you said, relationships. Um, oh, that's great. Yeah, no, it definitely. Feedback is so important. Hey, so and it's one of the key things in being able to really improve and sharpen the blade. Sharpen your tools. When you joined Autonomy, it's quite selective. How did you find the enrollment process?
My biggest obstacle for getting into autonomy was really money. Not having worked for 2 years, cash is kind of tight.
Mm,
Yet my wife and I were very much agreed that investing in myself to overcome blockages and break through to profitability with my ideas would be super helpful. Um, the person who did my blueprint call convinced me that the community would help me make enough money to pay for the course if I just stretched out the payments over the course of a year. I'm not sure that that's going to happen, but at least I have enough skills now that I could go get a sales job for the rest of the year to help pay for the course if need be.
yeah, it is. It's a common, challenge. I think we all have to deal with that factor, and yeah, when it comes down to it, investing in yourself is one of those paradigms that basically, I think the system, makes it feel like you're not going to be able to do it without anybody else. You're not going to be able to, and being able to invest in yourself at the end of the day is your biggest benefit, right? Being able to move on. So, marketing. Yeah. How would you consider the definition of integrity? What does that mean to you?
Hmm. One way I understand integrity is as following through on responsibilities instead of relying on rights to dodge accountability. Um, an example of this is recently my wife and I were expected to go to Japan to take care of some family business. And because of some bad awareness on my part, I was unable to go at the last minute, leaving me home alone for 2 weeks. And during that time, instead of thinking of it as a vacation, I continued to get up and do the same thing, do the same activities at the same time in order to move my goals forward.
Mm,
I think of this as integrity because it's acting on your commitments made, even though there's no external force demanding compliance.
mm, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. That you do it from your own initiative. That it's something you want to do. Yeah, yeah. I think that's something that if we're able to do that, then we don't need to clock into the work schedule because we've already got that self discipline really. So as far as like sales is always something that's challenging for people because of the stigma that goes with it and so on. Through the course, did you find any alternatives to that vision that brought up new potential views of sales and how it can be applied?
Mm. Yeah, it really did. I spent 12, 15 years, something like that, teaching English. And one of the things I became very proficient at is having creative conversations with many kinds of people. I really enjoyed that work a lot, but I never really comprehended its importance before going through autonomy. Sales as problem solving and adding value to people's lives revealed to me at least how conversation skill is a powerful form of sales. Understanding the opportunity now, I'm planning to approach all conversations with much more mindfulness so that I can increase the value of each interaction.
Yeah, no, and it doesn't feel like you're selling. That's the thing. I think that's the key thing is that you're helping, others. That's the key thing. Yeah, beautiful. Um, at Autonomy, we have a couple of basically visions that we use, and one of them is no master, no slaves. Other one is be excellent to each other. Basically, these are the rules. We try and guide. How did you employ those? How did you implement them in your day to day?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Initially, I thought no masters, no slaves, and be excellent to each other was pretty cheesy as community rules. But they formed unspoken guardrails in every interaction that I had with other students and course staff. And they reminded me of the idea of emergence. Emergence is this idea that simple rules or patterns run repeatedly can create complex, even beautiful interactions. And these two simple rules provided Simple but effective ways to judge my own motivations within interactions and a clear expectation from others, and in reality created really great experiences for everyone involved.
Yeah, and there's a simplicity to it. I think that's what makes it feel a little bit cheesy, but because it's simple, it's easy to integrate, and then, as you say, create that emergence, right? Those patterns and behaviors. So there's a little bit of a magic happening in that, and just keeping that in your back of your mind. When you did join, did you notice any aspects that were immediately popping out that were valuable to you?
Mm. I'm not really sure how the marketing of autonomy and the course reality differs, to be honest. There was a 2 year gap between enrolling and the marketing that I saw. So I'm more likely to ascribe any gaps in that reality to my poor memory than a marketing problem. Marketing definitely gets the benefit of the doubt from me.
Yeah, this one of the major overlooked issues in starting, businesses and so on. So everybody needs marketing. Yeah.
Yes.
Your experience with autonomy and the community, how has that, come to your perspective in how would you describe it?
Mm. One of the most interesting exercises I did while in autonomy was to introduce a few people to some of my crazier notions. The responses from the autonomy community were consistently curious, patient, and many made a genuine effort to try and understand me. It's one of the few places, the autonomy community is one of the few places where I can experience the joy of just exploring ideas with others just for
Mm.
the pleasure of it. And that relationship and the relationships coming out of such honest exchanges can't help but make everyone more creative, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely a creative community as a good descriptor for sure. Yeah, and it's nice to see that we all able to contribute to the bigger vision, and your personal one at the same time. So it is a special community, I find, and yeah, thank you for that. That's beautiful to notice that. So you've gone through quite a bit of a journey. What would you say have you learned about transformation in autonomy for yourself?
Mm. Coming into autonomy, of course, I was looking for feedback. And once I started to connect with people and build relationships, I had a much better idea of where I could provide value. I met people who felt inspired but scared to grow in new directions. And because I've felt that fear of and uncertainty and doubt, I was able to find ways to use my experience to help other people. I discovered I could play a supportive role. So I went from hoping to build media products for my own benefit to trying to find ways that groups of us could win together. And while I don't know if my latest brainwave will come to anything, at the very least, it's going to teach me new skills for the future.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really eye-opening. No, very well said. And using your weaknesses as actually tools to connect with others. Yeah, it's so integral. We all go through the same, struggles, and so why not share? And beautiful. How has autonomy allowed you to build new relationships whenever you want?
Hmm. Yeah, I've long had the ability to create rapport with people, which is like a key skill for starting a new relationship. But rapport is usually only useful in that moment. Once the conversation ends, rapport tends to fade rather quickly. And so autonomy provided a framework for turning that rapport into ongoing interactions with people for mutual benefit. And that framework means that any situation where I can establish rapport can then also be turned into a new relationship.
Yeah, and it's definitely a skill that's lacking today is to actually get to know, right? So get
Yeah.
to know people. Yeah, so it's beautiful. How did the interview exercises in the beginning help you get past your synthesis of introversions? You know?
Well, because I've spent more than a decade honing my conversation skills, I didn't feel it was introversion or shyness that needed to be overcome. Instead, I dug into the meeting people exercise a little differently than other people. I looked through that members list and found everyone that didn't have a picture or profile and personally invited them to a conversation. I think I'm fairly non threatening and capable of connecting with a wide variety of people on a large array of topics. So I was confident I could provide a safe starting for students who were feeling shy or hesitant to engage. I then built on that initial connection by sending encouraging notes anytime I saw any of those people do something publicly. The result was a very unique set of connections by the end of the course.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that I think a lot of us feel uncomfortable with, but it grows by experience, you know, and definitely you can see it in engaging with you. It's been really great working with you, Wesley, on a lot of different topics. We're talking about that. How many new friends have you made? Yeah, in autonomy.
I'm not entirely sure how to answer that, as I think of friendship a bit differently than most people. What I can say, though, is that during my first season of Autonomy, I focused on relationship building. And during those 12 weeks, I initiated almost 70 conversations with 35 different people. The result was I got to know a large pool of people that I felt could be honest with themselves and each other. And I feel that that honesty is one of the key criteria to doing interesting things together. And so I used that criteria and to invite some of those connections to work together on a joint learning venture.
Hmm. So many new friends.
In a nutshell.
In what way did the autonomy forum keep you connected and serve your needs as a member?
When I first joined Autonomy, I posted a lot on the public side of the forum. I put up original content and responded to other people's contributions, and that helped me feel like I was getting involved in the community well. But the more integration exercises I did, the better I got to know people privately. And so the direct messaging side of the forum became extremely valuable. And it was there that we coordinated activities and grew closer together so that the relationships became more important.
Oh, that leads us into the activities. There's many activities. Can you mention a couple of what activities did you participate in?
Yeah, from my first round through Autonomy, I focused on building a solid foundation of understanding the material. So I went through the lectures and Q&A. I did a lot of the integration exercises. I did some vlogging. And towards the end of the course, went to that Rainmaker sales training practice. Um, but beyond the core content, I also went through virtually all of the material in the library in the swag bag. I like to think that this broad participation sets a good base on which to try putting the concepts into practice between seasons and then learning even more next season.
Hmm. And just going into a little bit more about the specific participation, which is key. Can you describe your participation and what was it that you got out of it?
Hmm. I think one word to describe my participation in Autonomy is proactive. For the most part, I didn't wait for people to come to me. I didn't wait to be told what to do. I found exercises in course material, for example, and then I just set about doing my best to execute. And a big reason for that proactive approach was because I expected to be away during the last part of the course. And as I kept getting great results from that proactive stance, I started to feel less and less like a follower, which in itself became a form of autonomy.
Interesting. Yeah, and I think that participation is where really the gold strikes, because if you're able to, more you participate, the more you get back. So yeah, well done. Out of the lectures, how did the lectures give you a better tool set to shape your lifestyle with?
Yeah, you know what that question reminds me of is a long, long time ago, I learned this idea that when you're creating material for other people, that you give away the what of the idea and you sell the how to anyone who can't figure it out for themselves. And the lectures in autonomy are composed of hundreds of ideas that anyone can use as a tool set to shape their lifestyle. The real value in that knowledge, however, is figuring out how to put it into practice for your own benefit. Coming out of my first season of Autonomy, I think I've gathered a group of people interested in working together to learn how to put that tool set into practice. And it's that practice, not the lectures necessarily, which I believe will make the biggest impact on my lifestyle going into the future.
Yeah, no, definitely. Lifestyle is something that we all have to reflect on in asking ourselves how are we getting to our goals, and so having a better tool set and learning about the applications of applying it to create a new lifestyle is definitely a big part of the course. As far as like, if you could think of something that you couldn't do, but now you've gone through autonomy process, and the sales, and understood the connection of business, what would you say you are able now to do because of autonomy?
Mm. Before I joined Autonomy, I worked on many teams and worked very powerfully on many teams, but I would have hesitated to try and put together my own team to work on a project. I clearly saw the value of trying to work on teams, but lacked confidence, contacts, and so on to produce an offer the market would show interest in. Whereas today I'm putting together such teams. There's still a lot of room for improvement in my efforts, but I know that if I keep trying, I'll eventually get it right. And when I
Mm,
do, the benefit will be for everyone, not just for me. And I'm really excited about that.
yeah, and there's so the element of leadership, that, being that teams are collaboration, but also that autonomy is also making you, self-sustained in your own actions and keeping your own integrity. So it's not just a case of telling people what to do, but actually figuring how we can do it together. And that's a great point. Yeah, it's a bit tricky, but I think it's the only way really forward. What was any reason that you chose to get in now opposed to the other seasons, earlier seasons?
Yeah, I first learned about autonomy 2 years ago, and at that time, I was very interested in a very specific entrepreneurial idea that didn't quite fit the autonomy vision I felt. Um, I really had to exhaust that vision and prove to myself that I wasn't capable of executing that particular vision before I was willing to seriously look at other offers in the market. But 2 years later, because I had explored that idea to the best of my ability, when I did finally join Autonomy, I was ready to commit at a much more engaged level than I would have earlier. And that higher level of commitment in my previous efforts resulted, in my opinion at least, in a much better outcome.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is making sure that you're ready for a life change. Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's a good point. If I was gonna invite someone, what would you recommend me tell them about autonomy for new students?
Yeah, that's a good question. Most people find truth in the saying, your net worth is in your network.
Mm,
So the value for new students of autonomy, in my opinion, is the network they can build in the community. There's such a wide variety of students interested in doing lots of different things. It's highly likely you'll find someone to connect to.
Mm,
But beyond that, your network's value really reveals itself when two things are in place. You have the goals that other people can help with. Without this, you're really just making friends, which is nice, but
mm,
doesn't reveal the value in the network. And number two, you maintain the network, that integrity we were talking about before. As we play the maven, salesperson, and connector roles within our network, relationships develop into opportunities, which are the true benefits of a network.
yeah, yeah, it is key. I think when we're thinking about what makes products, like someone could produce a product identical to yours, but at the end of the day, the difference is how well it's been established in the network, how many people are already using your product versus others, and so that can be the foundation of even the poorest quality product to become successful. And it's networks, and then as you said, beyond that is also just being able to move forward in being able to continue that production, continue in growing that network, which is it's an art. It's definitely an art finding the right people. If I was thinking about joining, for the first time, and now that you've gone through this experience, what would you, be recommending to me if I was just thinking about it?
Hmm. I would say for people thinking of joining Autonomy, I would say it's okay not to join Autonomy. I mean, really, freedom just isn't for everyone, and not everyone needs to stand on their own 2 feet. So, if you've got a trust fund that more than covers your expenses, or if you've created financial freedom for yourself and your family, then, just be happy. But on the
Mm,
other hand, if you're struggling day to day, feel like the system is working against you, or that there isn't a long term future down your current path, then you probably can't join Autonomy fast enough. Look,
mm,
the longer you invest in something that produces good returns, the better your personal return will be. So getting into Bitcoin at $1 or Intel at 6 would make you a multi-million dollar millionaire today.
mm,
The personal value that autonomy can unlock for you is that kind of exponential growth. The sooner you're in and working on yourself, the sooner those returns start and the more you'll grow. So the real question is not to join or not to join. The real question is, what are you worth?
Yeah, that's wow, that's incredible insight. And it is all about timing, absolutely. The sooner the better. Absolutely. There's no argument about that. And I think to some extent it's worthwhile joining Autonomy just for the community, if not for, all the information, but just for the sake of being able to connect with like-minded people and start amazing projects. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's true. It's not for everybody, but it definitely makes it easier the sooner you get in. Well, that really gives us a nice snapshot, Wesley, on your experience, and thank you for sharing. And I hope this is valuable to many others that are looking at autonomy and how it can benefit them. I have been so blessed in being part of autonomy and meeting people with your intelligence and just ambition and your drive to try and make a difference in the world. And I've never looked back. I love the fact that we can keep on coming back to every season. And it's up to you as an individual. Do you think going forward, just out of interests going forward with autonomy, how your engagement will improve in the work that you're doing at the moment, and you look forward to maybe meeting more like-minded people for your projects, I guess?
Yeah, I really do. I think that not only does autonomy help unlock my um, potential in terms of skills and earning and relationships. But I think of income in four ways, right? Reach, reputation, relationships, and revenue. Everyone's aiming for revenue, but
Mm,
it's really the first three that build the base that allows revenue to develop.
mm,
And it's relationships and specifically the opportunities coming out of relationships that build a life worth having, in my opinion.
mm,
Not
mm.
just financial, but so many things come out of just building good relationships.
Yeah, that's a great point because absolutely we get stuck on money or like you say finance to the revenue being the measure of success, but really the quality is installed in the relationships. And the question is what gives your life a better quality experience, and it is the relationships. Absolutely, that's what I feel as well, is that having strong relationships is priceless.
Yeah.
You can't put a number on it. Having people you can trust, having people that have the same ethics, the same drive, it's a you just get to learn how rare of qualities those are in the general public. And so, yeah, we're very blessed to have that.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Wesley. I really appreciate that you took the time for a graduation interview. And I look forward to seeing you at the graduation ceremony. So,
Thank you very much for taking the time to interview me, Mark. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there too.